I don't know about anybody else, but I'm having a lot of fun watching the exposure going on right now. People who have seemingly been untouchable are being exposed in this current hour. If you understand the spiritual aspect of this, after the exposure, well, if you watch my videos, you know, but read scripture. God's very consistent. After he exposes evil, he then gets rid of it. But it's you don't have to go far to hear about fire. Mr. Newsom out on the West Coast and his debacle, all the lies he's trapped in. But one of my favorite schemes they used to run, the narrative they used to spin, raise the minimum wage to $20 an hour, $50, $100. Let's just make it $300 an hour, right? Well, there's two types of people. The type of people who think that's a good idea, and the type of people who know that's not. I can remember when I was 15, I just finished the 8th grade, and I said, I ain't going back to school. So I told my dad, I said, Dad, because he traveled, I said, man, I ain't going back to school. He said, all right, you're going to go to work with me. I'm going to pay you minimum wage. Back then, I was 15 or 16. I started out at $3.50 an hour, and my job was loading 100-pound sandbags into a sand pot every 30-45 minutes, and then I would have to climb the water tower about 10-15 times a day. I was the helper. I was the peon. My dad did that right. He made me earn my way and pay my own dues, but I made $3.50 an hour for 2 years doing that. I worked like, it was a hard job. I never once complained about that $3.50. I actually enjoyed it. My dad wanted to break me, but I enjoyed it. I knew I wasn't going to go back to school. But see, it wasn't the raise. When I finally got a raise, I got a raise to $4 an hour. 50-cent raise. And to me, I was like, man, that's 50 cents. Not the rapper either. But I worked my way all the way up. And I think the last hourly wage I got was like $25 an hour. Then I went in business for myself. But I started out at minimum wage and worked my way up. It wasn't the money, the 50-cent raises here and there. No, it was the experience. That was what was valuable. That's what's lasted. All the lessons, all the experiences that made me a little bit better and a little bit smarter, to where I could go into business for myself and work for myself. And I did that the last 20 years of my professional life, my professional career, till I became a farmer. If you watch my videos, you know. But as I watch these politicians get exposed, I'm reminded of 1 Samuel. God wanted to be the people's king, but the people said, no, we want a man, like the pagans. Give us a man. God said, okay, I'll give you a man, but this is what he's gonna do. He's gonna take all your money. He's gonna send you to war. People still wanted a king. And then God sent David, a nobody, right? Little sheep herder, little nothing. He was, of all his brothers, he was the nothing. When the prophet Samuel went to Jesse's house, because God said, hey, the new king's there, he told Jesse, one of your sons is going to be king. Jesse didn't even consider David. This was David, the man after God's own heart. His own dad didn't even consider him. That's how unqualified he appeared to be. You know, I'll end with this. I was painting a water tower in Lawton, Oklahoma. It was a road that separated Fort Sill to Lawton, Oklahoma. And I remember I was coming down off the water tower. I was in a spider, that's what they call it, but it's like a little elevator, you know. And I was riding down and I seen this lady. I just so happened to look at the road. And I seen this lady yelling and screaming. Well, her car had shut off and I seen a little baby in the passenger side. And this was an older lady. And so I come down off the water tower. It takes me about 10 minutes to get down because those things are slow. And I watched her. You know, I watched her go and she pulled over into a little gas station. I said to myself, I said, she needs help. So I go down, I get in my truck, and I go to the nearest ATM machine, and I pull out all they'll let me pull out, a couple $100. And I go to that little store where she was, and she is bawling and screaming, and she's hot, and the AC in her beat-up car didn't work. So I pull up next to her, and I said, ma'am, do you need help? And she was like, oh, my God, yes. She was so tired and beat up, man. So I said, get in my truck. She got in my truck. She got the little baby in the AC truck. And I said, where are you going? She said, I'm going to my daughter's house. So I took her over there, and as she was getting out, she was like, oh my God, thank you, you know, for the ride, blah, blah, blah. And I said, here, take this money. And she couldn't believe it. But that's not the moral of the story, me giving her money and helping her. She was beat down, taking care of her grandbaby, and the system could care less about her. She didn't have the money to fix that car. She still had to pay taxes. She still had to pay to these Sauls. She still had to pay money to Saul. You know, you know what we need? We need plumbers to run for office. We need blue-collar people to be installed in. That's what it was designed to do, right? You stop your job, you go and you work for 4 to 8 years, right? As in the government, whatever it may be, whatever you're elected to do, and then you go back to your life. Nowadays, we have these career politicians, man, who tell you that billionaires are bad while they work for billionaires, and a lot of them are billionaires. And look what old Mr. Newsom over there is doing. Where's all the money at, Mr. Newsom? They've been stealing from you, just like Saul. They've been taking and taking and taking and leaving you with nothing. Anyway, that's been on my mind. I pray that we get back to the place where regular people get elected into these offices instead of scumbag lying thieves who just take and take and take and lie and lie and lie. Anyway, that's just been on my mind, and I've just figured I'd make a video about it. I hope it helps somebody. If you don't know Jesus Christ, you can go to him today. He's the way out of this. You know, a lot of people want a king, Saul. Me, I want Jesus. That's who I want. He's the way out of this. I hope this message helps somebody.